Hello everybody, this is Trisha Wolfrey from Ahead for Success and Your Empowered Self. In this series of Let's Talk Stress, today I'd like to welcome the very lovely Mandy Penlaver. Is that correct? I keep choosing people with difficult names. Penlaver, who is a yoga instructor. And so we're going to be talking with Mandy today about what stresses her out, what she does about it, and at the end, sharing some yoga tips that are particularly helpful for stress. And you don't need to be particularly gifted to be able to do these, so they're available to anyone. So do stay tuned. Welcome, Mandy. How are you today?
Oh, hi Trisha. I'm very well, thank you.
Good.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. So tell me, what is it that drew you to be a yoga instructor?
Well, I started yoga about 30 years ago now, and it was because I was having stress and a bit of anxiety in my own life, and looking for ways to help with the emotional side of life. I really wasn't about the physical side of things for me. It really was more about the mental health side of it.
Because it actually helps in many different ways, which we'll probably look at shortly. And so you've been doing it for a long time. And how long as a teacher?
Over 20 years now.
Oh my God, you look far too young.
Oh well, I'm in my 50s, but I
oh
think
my God.
For me personally, thank God for my meditation and yoga practice, because it has stood me in such good stead in my life, and that's why I love to offer it to others.
Yeah. And the same here. My job, which is helping people with their stress, can in turn be stressful, and I've found both of those really, really helpful for me too. It's kind of nurturing, isn't it? And it gives back where you're giving out all the time.
Absolutely.
Okay, so tell me, what in your life do you find particularly stressful?
Well, apart from the big ones, like moving and divorce and you know, people dying, that kind of thing, those big life things that come along, just on an everyday kind of we all have little stresses every day, and for me, technology is definitely one of them. As great as technology is, it often lets you down, and I've recently had to really kind of use technology a lot more in my work, and it's driven me quite crazy, making lots of mistakes with that. But something else that actually I'm finding more and more stressful in my life is driving, actually, but particularly in big cities. So I live outside of London now, and I used to sort of drive around London quite confidently, but now it's very stressful. There's speed cameras and yellow boxes, and there seems to be a lot more kind of anxiety on the roads as well. So that's another thing that I find quite stressful.
There's a lot of rage on the road, isn't there?
Yeah, there really is. There really is. It's a good point, actually. I think people get into that car, and it seems almost like it's a kind of gives them permission to all that rage that's within them to to come out. It's interesting, actually. I've got a window right by my kitchen window, and so I've got a window in my kitchen that has a busy road right behind it, and so I'll stand there washing up, and I'm watching people, and you'll see them in their car, and maybe someone's trying to get past us, and I can actually watch people get, like, their faces getting stressed. I can hear them swearing. I'm that close to the road, and I can read there, and yeah, I think that the general stress that these days all of us are generally under, it really comes out in the car for some reason.
It's display stress. So what they're experiencing in their normal lives, where they're being incredibly polite and reasonable, like work or with the family or whatever, then when you say that it gives them permission, this is a place where they can safely vent, because they're venting against people they don't know. Nobody can hear them. They didn't know that you can lip read. in your kitchen, and it's just a place where people vent. And I think if anybody watching this finds that they're doing that a lot, it means that they're suppressing a lot of anger, and then it comes out really unreasonably. And most people don't suffer from other people's road rage, but you can, you know, because it can cause accidents, and it can cause a nervous driver that you've just shouted at, or bumpered to, that's not English, but you know what I mean. It can cause a lot of anxiety for other people if you have road rage.
Yeah, absolutely. And I sometimes find it quite interesting how common it is, just standing by my kitchen window and watching that. And
coming back to the IT, I share yours. That is my biggest thing. And I've come to realize that the reason I find it so stressful is two things. Number one, I'm trying to do something new and different in a really short window of time. And if it doesn't respond how I think it should, or I can't work it out, I find that really stressful. And if it's broken and I've got a short window of time and I have to phone a help desk, that is massively stressful. But what I have realized personally is if I just give myself time and space, which I rarely do, says she who helps other people with stress, if I give myself time and space to do something complicated, like make space for it, I can do it perfectly well most of the time, not all the time, because some things are just really complicated. But you know, that to me is one of my things, give myself time and space to do those things so that I'm not up against a deadline all the time. What about you? How do you manage your stress in those situations? Or
my yoga and meditation practice are invaluable, and it's these days, actually, Tricia, where I've been practicing for such a long time, it kind of comes naturally, actually. In that, what I mean by that is that you know, I don't sort of just sit. But I do sit for formal meditation, but when you've been practicing a long time, it kind of flows into your everyday life. So and what I mean by that is we all have things that trigger us. Let's say if whether it's the technology, for example, the from meditating for many years, the gap between the trigger and the and kind of losing it, if you like, and getting stressed. Gets longer, right? So I will notice the trigger and I will almost immediately these days stop. And it might, you know, breathing is probably the very best way for me. Just a couple of really deep breaths in that moment, and it just puts that little pause in, and then you go back to it with an entirely different a response rather than a reaction.
Yeah.
Because when there's an immediate reaction to that trigger, you're in a reactive state rather than a response, because there's always a kind of there's always a response, right? You can't often when you're in that reactivity, you can't see the simple answer to your technical issue that's arisen or whatever it might be. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, there's the difference between reactive and responsive. So responsive is, okay, so this has gone wrong. What do I need to do about it? And for me, making time and space, like don't do it right now. You've got a call in 5 minutes. Wait until your tea break afterwards.
Yeah.
And clear the desk. for me is the thing. So it's a little bit like breathing because breathing is a pause, isn't it? So it's taking that breath, taking that pause, so that your mind is your logical, it's called prefrontal cortex mind, is more engaged with the problem solving rather than your amygdala, which is the emotional mind, just kind of has a flap.
Yeah, exactly, Tricia. And the reason for that is that when we learn to breathe properly, which we do in yoga, and which is a massive part of yoga, when you breathe really low down into your abdomen, it stimulates the vagus nerve. And that nerve is responsible for switching the nervous system from into parasympathetic, into rest and digest, as I call it. So what's happened in the moment of a trigger, when something has triggered you, we go into fight, flight or freeze, you know, into sympathetic nervous system response. And so it's not just a pause, but it's actually taking yourself out of, if you breathe correctly, out of that very reactive
Yeah.
nervous system
Yeah.
mode.
Yeah, excellent. Okay. And do you have some specific yoga poses that you can recommend to people when they're feeling stressed?
Yeah, one of my absolute favourites, Trisha, is legs up the wall. That's what I call it anyway. What I love about it is that anybody can do it. And how you do this is you kind of inch your hips as close to a wall as you can, and then just have your legs resting up the wall. Have a pillow underneath your head, and then do a few of these really nice slow deep breaths that I'm talking about. That is one of the best postures that I can recommend for, first of all, it drains away any stagnant blood that's collected in the lower limbs, and we get a nicer blood down to the head. But it's a really calming and soothing yoga posture. And then another one I like is a child's posture, where I'll maybe send you some links to these postures, because it's quite hard to describe them in words sometimes, but we kind of, you curl up like into a little seed, with your upper body resting on your thighs and the arms alongside you, and that really helps you to
do that while you're kneeling on the floor, aren't you?
yes, we do this on the floor.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And it's called child's posture because it's kind of reverting to being back in the kind of in that child like state. And when you have your arms alongside you in that posture, it really helps you to let go in your shoulders, which is where most of us hold most of our tension, I find, in the neck and the shoulders. And then when I'm in that posture, I like to have a little rock, to rock gently from side to side, because there's something very kind of primal for a human being to be rocked, and that I find that gentle rocking also helps to calm and soothe the nervous system.
Oh, it's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the child's pose, kneeling on the floor,
Yeah.
with your head over your knees and your arms back gently
alongside you, and you can really let go in your shoulders. Now, you might need to adjust that if your flexibility is not that great.
Yeah.
Then have some props. You might not be able to get your head to the floor. You might not be able to have your knees together. But what you can do is you just adjust it so that it's comfortable. The further apart your knees are, the lower down you can go, and then you can just put a cushion or a bolster or something there to rest your head on. It's a lovely, and I would say my favorite styles of yoga for stress, some styles of yoga are really good for developing strength and building the body up. But for stress, I would recommend restorative yoga, where you use lots of props to make your body really, really comfortable, or yin yoga, where you will come into a posture like that and hold it for quite a long time. And both of those styles of yoga and both of those postures that I've mentioned are restorative postures, and you just have whatever you need to make that posture comfortable.
I think a lot of people have yoga stress, don't they, where they think they've got to hold this impossible pose, but you don't have to. You just do it to your level, that's comfortable for you. And if you're doing the strengthening ones, you might have to kind of stretch a little bit, but with these you just do what's comfortable, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely, Trisha. These days that's the only kind of yoga I teach. I teach very gentle yoga, and we do have a nice stretch, a very gentle stretch. But for me, all of the value in yoga is about that nervous system switch, reminding ourselves of who we truly are, beyond all that kind of humanness and that's kind of personal story, to take a break from the personal story and to drop into that deeper aspect of ourselves. That really is where all the value of yoga is for me. I'm not I never have been actually someone that teaches a very kind of power yoga or getting your leg behind your head or that kind of thing. And so, my classes really are for everybody, and there really is truly no judgment. Some people turn up to my class and they lie down for the whole thing, and that really is maybe what their body needs. It's about really listening to what's needed, rather than, as you say, coming from the frontal cortex, which will say, I've got to get my leg behind my head. I take a different approach to it than
Good,
that.
because some of them are quite challenging. Okay, so the leg up the wall is literally you've got the hips against the corner of the wall and the floor. Your legs up, and would some people struggle with getting their legs up the wall?
I don't know. I don't know anyone who can't actually do that posture. But again, you would adjust it. Maybe have your hips a little further away,
right?
Or maybe, or the ultimate yoga posture is Shavasana, which is where you're
lying down.
Yeah.
So hard, that one.
Yeah.
Hard.
And so Shavasana, which is my favorite yoga posture of all, which requires it asks absolutely nothing of you physically. You lie down on your back with your arms a little away from the body, your palms turned up, which will help you let go in your shoulders. You have your legs a little bit apart, and you let your feet drop out to the sides. Now, if you have issues with your lower back, what will really help in that posture will be to prop your knees up somehow, to put a pillow or a cushion or something underneath your knees, have a pillow underneath your head. A few minutes in that posture and breathing deeply can work wonders, really work wonders. You don't have to take an hour out of your day. It could be literally a few minutes.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mandy. And do you have a book that you could recommend that you've found uplifting or enlightening, or that has helped you in your life?
I do. I mean, there have been many books that I've loved over the years, but there's one in particular, Tricia, and I take it everywhere with me. I find it's a very comforting book for me, and very inspiring. It's actually a book of poems, and it's called by the Persian poet Hafiz, and it's called "The Subject Tonight Is Love."
Oh,
wow. And it's a beautiful. They're short poems, and I literally it goes with me everywhere I go. It's in my bag, and I have it before every single class. I'll have a little glance at it, and it's like any kind of true work of art. You only have to read one line, and it kind of stops you in your tracks and takes you back to that kind of deeper aspect of yourself that I was.
Oh, that sounds lovely. I've not heard of that. I wonder whether it might be possible to share a line or a couple of lines that I could put in the link that might help people. Okay. Would that be possible?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Well,
you don't have to do it now.
So,
okay, I wasn't testing how well you knew the book.
Yeah. There are so many. There are so many amazing one-liners in.
Yeah. I love quotes because I find they can really just shift somebody's thinking really, really quickly. They kind of condense so much information into just a simple concept, which I find really helpful for some people. Yeah.
Especially when they come from and have been and are written from that space. They will. The moment you read it, if it's come from that space, the moment you read it, it will trigger that space in yourself as well.
Excellent.
I love that book.
So it's been really lovely to talk to you, Mandy. I hope to get along to one of your classes one of these days. And thank you ever so much for your time. It's been really good.
Thank you, Trish. It's been an absolute pleasure to chat with you.
Take care now. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.